I'm 16F and have an older brother who is the owner of the house we live in. He is my half-brother, same mum. I live with my dad, stepmom, and stepsister, 17, in the house. My brother let my dad and I stay in this house because we were evicted from the previous place as my dad had lost his job and couldn't pay rent. It's a 3-bed house, so currently my stepsister and I have our own room and I have the bigger room with my own bathroom. She doesn't have her own bathroom. My stepsister is 6 months pregnant. When she was 3 months pregnant, my dad and stepmom told me that once the baby is born her boyfriend is going to move in with us and they will need 2 rooms, one for them and one for the baby. So they offered to clear out the shed we have outside for my stuff and I can sleep on the couch at night. I'm not happy about this. I talked to my brother and he agreed this is unreasonable. So I asked him if he can evict my parents so I don't have to deal with my stepmom and stepsister anymore. My brother suggested that I move in with him so that I won't live there when they are served the eviction notice, as he was worried that they would blame me and it wouldn't be nice if I was living there. So just about a week ago my stepsister's boyfriend moved in as well. I have now moved in with my brother and they have been served the eviction notice, which is 2 months. My dad, stepmom, and stepsister have been calling me non-stop asking me to convince my brother to reconsider and calling me heartless. My stepsister texted me saying I'm the biggest idiot she's ever met because I'm making her homeless at the peak of her pregnancy and it's her baby that I'm punishing. Am I an idiot? Edit. For your information, we were living there rent-free. Not the idiot. The family is taking advantage of your brother and keeps moving more people into the house he owns. I am assuming nobody pays rent. It is your brother's right to evict them. Maybe your stepsister should take responsibility for herself and the unborn baby. I can't believe these people wanted to put you in a shed. Yeah, we weren't paying rent. It's good of your brother to take care of you since your father won't. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. They don't need a separate room from the child. They need to all sleep together in one room so when the baby cries, they definitely hear the baby crying and can tend to the baby's needs. It's your brother's home. I'm not sure why they thought this would fly when you're likely the only reason he let them stay there anyway. A newborn baby could technically live in a drawer because it doesn't need much space. In the ideal world, the baby can have its own room. Also, apparently almost everyone is homeless in this story because her BF doesn't seem to have his own place either. Or they assumed it would be okay to kick a teen out of her room, I don't know. Yeah, my dad works and my stepmom can get a job as well. The BF was just fired, but he can get another job. They can get their own place, but that means paying rent. Not the idiot. Your brother is no relation to your dad or stepmother, so the only reason he even let you guys live there was for you. If they aren't letting you live in the house, he has no reason to let them stay and could be making a lot more money with other tenants, so it's actually to his benefit to evict them. They made choices that were bad parenting and now they're paying for them. Their choices, their problem. Not yours. Ever. I am a single woman in my early 30s, making my living writing and self-publishing adult fiction. By adult fiction, I mean adult fiction with the majority of the plot being steamy. I don't typically tell people what I write, but I do tell them I write books for a living under a pen name, and if you're questioning my writing abilities, I have an editor to correct my mistakes. I am not hiding it per se, but I am not telling everyone I meet what I do for a living, and none of my neighbors knew, only a bunch of friends. I live in a house alone. Pretty much all my neighbors are either young families or retired couples. My next door neighbor is a young couple. We've been polite to each other but haven't been close or anything. Lately, the husband, let's call him Roger, became very friendly towards me, which I tried to ignore, but he's been getting too flirty for my liking and I started avoiding him. They had a BBQ over the bank holiday weekend and I was taking rubbish out to put in my bin. Roger looked at me, waved hi and whispered something to his friend, and they both watched me very carefully, which was incredibly creepy. On my way through my garden, I saw Roger's wife, Dahlia, leaving the house with her friend, and they both looked at me with disgust and whispered something to each other. It was weird and I hurried back inside. The next morning, I found some religious leaflets put through my letterbox. They were just printed on normal printer paper and were warned about lustful behavior leading to hell, etc. Threw them away, but kept finding similar leaflets put through my letterbox for the next week. Since I am working from home, I decided to see who was leaving those leaflets, and to my surprise, it was Dahlia. I decided to confront her and ask her to stop putting religious leaflets through my door. Despite me being polite, she was not happy. She told me that I should rethink my life because what I write is disgusting, it's pretty vanilla, and she found her husband reading it at night, and you can imagine doing what. She kept going on and on about how I am going to burn in hell, how I have no morals, etc. Well, I told her to stay away from me and discuss this with her husband, and I closed the door in her face. Don't know who, but someone told them what I do for a living. A day later, I found the word SLT painted on my door. A few days later, I caught her keying my car, she was almost done with the word WHRE. Well, I called the police on her, and since I installed cameras after the SLT incident, she is being taken to court over keying my car. I talked to my other neighbor, she asked about the police, about it, and she told me that I went overboard, that Dahlia was clearly insecure, but she's a lovely woman and great mother, and I should have talked to her instead of calling the police and give her a chance to change her behavior. Am I the idiot for calling the police and not giving Dahlia a chance? Not the idiot when people harass you and commit crimes against you, you call the police. Absolute zero shades of gray in that. Not the idiot. If she's keying your car and painting rude names on your door, she is not a lovely woman. Just because she doesn't like what you write doesn't give her the right to destroy your property. It appears that the behavior was escalating, so getting the police involved was necessary. Not the idiot. You did talk to Dahlia. You did give her a chance. And she upped the game to keying your car. I'd be worried that talking to her again would just get her to up her game further, to violence or more vandalism. I was on holiday with my husband and our 2 young boys, and we had sat down outside at our favorite cafe ready to order lunch. A man sat down at our table next to the boys and casually started a conversation with them, largely ignoring the adults, his focus entirely on our children. At first, I was confused, especially since he inserted himself into our table with such easy familiarity that I spent several moments trying to remember who he was and where we knew him from. Then, realizing that the man was actually a completely random stranger, I sat dumbfounded a while longer at the serious breach of social etiquette. Finally, I grew alarmed at his obvious keen interest in my children. I could think of no innocent reason why a strange adult would do this. My protective maternal instinct started kicking into overdrive. I was expecting my husband to step in and handle the situation, but he didn't. So the man sat uninvited at our table and carried on his conversation with my kids while I got silently angrier. The possibility of Down syndrome never crossed my mind. Any characteristic features on his face were too subtle to notice. Even my husband, who had grown up knowing a distant relation with Downs, didn't spot it in this man. Finally, my patience snapped and I asked the man rather sharply to please leave us alone to enjoy our lunch in peace. The man immediately apologized very politely and left. I should add that I am not a friendly person by nature. Social interactions can make me anxious and stressed, and I have often struggled to regulate my emotions. Thus I was extremely wound up from the encounter and still trying to simmer down some minutes later. An irate older woman came storming up to me at our table and started making a scene. She accused me of upsetting her son, who had Down syndrome. She was loud and angry and drew attention from all the other tables. She, like us, was on holiday with family and felt their holiday had been spoiled. For my part, I had no interest in engaging with her or discussing my encounter with her son and only wanted her to go away. She thrust a card in front of my face, demanding that I should read the information about Down syndrome so that I might educate myself and be more understanding next time. I was in no mood for this and threw the card away, then very firmly told her to leave me and my family alone. She stared a moment, probably realizing that I was as angry as she was, then left. That was the end of it. I'm not proud of my angry reactions, and I regret upsetting the man with Downs, who in hindsight was simply a lovely, harmless man who wanted to make young friends. I maintain that I couldn't tell he had Downs or I would not have spoken to him so sharply. I still would not have allowed a stranger to sit at our table and engage with my kids, but I would have spoken to him much more kindly. I still think the mother was in the wrong to confront me and my family as she did. I work with adults with disabilities. Here's the rule I use. If you take disability out of the question, is the behavior inappropriate? If it is, then it's not a disability issue. This is an issue of an unknown adult talking to children. You're not the idiot, but the man's mom sure is. She had enabled him to break boundaries and then use disability as a defense. It's sad. She set him up to get into some serious trouble. Not the idiot, in fact, I'd have told him to go away a lot sooner if it really wasn't that obvious he had downs from a normal strange man that would be seriously creepy. And his carers, while I fully appreciate he may be sociable and all, should try and make sure he doesn't bother people, same as parents should for their kids and anyone else. Not the idiot, she needed to be aware of what her child was doing, just as you were aware of where yours were. She dropped the ball and then blamed you for it.